Kono Bangumi wa Goren no sponsor no Teikyo de okurishimasu. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm the king of the ring. Come here and play with me. Me, the king of the ring. Bringing you the energy.
Classic Sonic with his run fast, jump high, no hex given attitude. With the upcoming release of Sonic Mania on August 15th, now seems like a great time to talk about that golden era of Sonic the Hedgehog. He could do no wrong, right? Well, actually, nostalgia can be quite the misleading SOB. In the land of Japan, there were a handful of Sonic arcade machines released, each with some obscure and wonderful gimmick. And I'm not saying they were all bad, but basically, they were all bad. Here's Sega Sonic Popcorn Shop, an arcade and popcorn machine hybrid, where players helped Sonic cook actual, real, tangible, you-can-eat-it popcorn. Despite being a Japanese arcade machine, it starts with William S. Sessions' famous declaration, "Winners don't use drugs," which I always found to be a blatant lie, because famous pop stars use drugs, and I'd say the amount of money they generate would make them winners. You get to pick between 3 flavors. I think I remember hearing something about one of the flavors being curry, which is pretty weird for popcorn, but I'm pretty weird because I eat popcorn naked. No, I don't mean with lack of clothing, I just mean without any seasoning. Eggman doesn't want Sonic to get his delicious popcorn, so you turn the crank to help make Sonic run away from Eggman. And Eggman thinks swinging a giant mallet is a good way to get Sonic's popcorn. I did that once in the View Cinema and they never let me in again. Once Sonic reaches the end, he slides down to the cooking machine where the popcorn is cranked until piping hot. Somehow I managed to, and I didn't even think this was possible, break the virtual popcorn shop. Like, it's warning me to call for assistance, while the background goes nightmarish. As a kid, I'd have probably started crying looking at this. I mean, it's barbaric. Leave Tails alone, you egg-shaped bully. The music doesn't help things either. Eggman eventually got his own popping eggcorn in Sonic Unleashed, so all was well with the world. Except that he got that in Sonic Unleashed, and less said about that game the better. Moving on. Another vendor machine exists, but the ROM hasn't been dumped yet. A cotton candy vending machine with Sonic in a plane. I guess he plucks it from the clouds? BTWFYI kids, clouds are not made of cotton candy. Do not stand on the wings of a jet plane with your tongue sticking out, okay? All this popcorn and cotton candy made me feel like the dead Kennedys, and now I want to go play pretend police officer. So let's jump into the front seat of a police truck and drive recklessly with Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car. This is the first Sonic the Hedgehog game to ever use voice acting, making it significant in that sense, hailing all the way from 1991. The goal? Teach Eggman a lesson as Sonic the totally trustworthy cop. Yeah, I know. Fiction. There's never been a man shaped like an egg before. You thought I was gonna say there's been no such thing as a trustworthy cop. Hey, that's on you. I said nothing. You can signal left and right, jump, speed up, and really speed up. At the end of your conscious and safe driving experience, you can jump into Eggman and beat him blue till he shits in his pants. I never managed to get more than 4 stars, but I think it's important to note that this game has a rating system, predating Sonic Adventure 2. So if you got a problem with SA2 having a rating system, then you gotta go yell at Waku Waku Patrol Car because he started it. There's really not much to say about this one. There was a similar game, Sega Sonic Cosmo Fighter Galaxy Patrol, but no ROM of this one exists either. This one also ranked you on how well you played, apparently. I feel it's important to mention the Mega Play arcade machines in brief, because while these weren't Sonic the Hedgehog arcade games, they did support some Sonic games. These were a thing outside of Japan, mainly in Europe. They weren't in the USA though. The machine would house a jammer board with 2 cartridge slots, allowing arcade owners to install a selection of games that the player could pick from. The carts were exclusive to the Mega Play, so an arcade owner couldn't buy a much cheaper retail Mega Drive cartridge and jam it into the machine. It just wouldn't work. Only a small selection of games were ported to the Mega Play, making the thing mostly worthless, kinda like the 32X. Sonic the Hedgehog had various changes. Most notably, the timer now counts down, keeping you on your toes. It's nothing a seasoned Sonic the Hedgehog player can't handle, but giving you only 50 seconds for Green Hill Zone Act 1 is harsh for anybody who doesn't know how to gotta go fast their way through the original. Special stages are missing. You can get 50 rings and jump into the special ring, but there's nout there. Even harsher, you don't get a 1-up when you collect 100 rings, regardless of the jingle, and 1-up monitors don't give you an extra life either. Now I don't know if this was meant to happen, but the game skips Marble and Labyrinth, and Act 3 of Scrap Brain Zone entirely. It makes the game punchier at around half hour to beat, even for a slower player. I tried, but the level select and debug codes are predictably absent. The level layouts seem the same from memory, so if you were hoping for significant game changes, you'll be disappointed. And because there's no Marble Zone, there's no UFOs from the famous Wayne's World clip. Sorry to burst your bubble, alien lovers. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was also released on the Mega Play, and this time there's no timer on screen at all. Once again, special stages are missing, failing to materialize around checkpoints when 50 or more rings are collected. 1-up monitors do nothing, and also 100 rings doesn't net you an extra life, so some things haven't changed from the first Sonic on Mega Play. Despite there being no timer, you still get issued a time bonus. These two, shall we say, remixed versions provide a light level of challenge for seasoned Sonic the Hedgehog players, and I'd highly recommend trying them. They seem to boot up just fine in MAME with the right BIOS files. There was another Sonic arcade game discovered, again in Japan only, but it was never fully completed. Sega Sonic Brothers. I know, sounds like fanfiction, but it's real. In May 1993's issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly, Al Nilsson of Sega referred to Sonic arcade games that didn't contain the specialness that Sonic the Hedgehog is, likely referring to Sega Sonic Brothers. It was a puzzle game of which little is known, but what is known is that it failed its location test and was subsequently never finished. The other game Nilsson may have been referring to was Sonic Ride, a scrapped arcade ride with a disturbing 3D rendered Sonic. The footage you're watching now comes from Sonic Jam, where the sequence was included in the museum mode. I think the likelihood of this leaving Japan would have been higher were it actually finished, as theme parks and holiday resorts could have really made use of these rides to keep the kiddies entertained while their parents got drunk and argued away their failing marriage at the bar. There were Sonic slot machines and gambling machines, but they really can't be classed as video games, and I don't want to talk about the UFO catchers either, because cute toys from those things are probably long gone in a landfill somewhere. Would have really loved some of those as a kid. All I had was the occasional Beanie Baby or action figure. I'd have traded any of those in for a stuffed Sonic or Eggman. This is what you probably came for. Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. This was 1993's Sonic the Hedgehog arcade game, featuring 3 characters. Sonic himself, Mighty the Armadillo, and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Mighty later reappeared in Knuckles Chaotix, and Ray, he never made another appearance. There's a missing persons poster in Sonic Generations City Escape asking us if we've seen Mighty or Ray recently. They're very likely dead by now. Sega Sonic is played by using a trackball. Hey, remember those? Yuji Naka stated that the trackball was the reason why Sega Sonic couldn't be included in Gem's collection, as emulating a trackball is really difficult. You can tell from my footage that this shit is hard to control. Why didn't they just go with a joystick? I mean, this ruins the whole damn game for me. Anyway, the game takes place on Eggman Island, an island loaded with traps, all of which designed to make short work of our furry heroes. The goal is to make it through each isometric obstacle course collecting rings, ultimately reaching the end and confronting Eggman. There are ladders, hanging sections, a goddamn Sarlacc pit, even a big Looney Tunes style billboard. Obstacles designed to get in Sonic and Friends' way. It is one big obstacle course with clumsily programmed trackball controls that I'm sure were okay on the actual machine, but are awful here. I've never seen the end. There's a 20-second timer to get to Eggman, and with controls like this, it's just not possible. I refuse to believe it's possible, even though video clips of the ending exist. Fail and it's instant game over. How unfair. If you were lucky, you might have played this in 1993 at some limited showings in USA and Europe, but even so, the game was never translated from Japanese into any other language. It's a cute oddity I'd love to be able to recommend, but I just simply can't. I'd be likely to say all Sonic the Hedgehog arcade outings have been mediocre and uninteresting as a whole, but one did see the light of day, was translated, and made it to consoles worldwide. Sonic the Fighters, we salute you. Sonic the Fighters is fighting vipers with Sonic characters. You can't really mess that up. Gorgeous visuals, none of these off-model Sonics from the other arcade games. That must count for something. After all this, I can say we got the best one. Still, I'd have loved to see Sega Sonic the Hedgehog get a release elsewhere, but the trackball mechanics aren't really suited to anything other than a trackball. Then again, Beyond the Yellow Brick Road for DS used a trackball for navigation, so the DS and 3DS could have easily featured a port of Sega Sonic. Sega obviously didn't want to dredge it up in the end, and who can blame them? This is Sushi Bites. Thanks for watching.